What's up?
Hello.
Love the shirt.
Thank you. I put the link up for the live.
Guess what? I just got my email.
What?
Episodes 1 and 2 of Loki.
Cool, Josh.
That's the rest of my day. I'm actually seeing In the Heights this afternoon too, so it's like I got a big day.
What is In the Heights again?
It's Lin-Manuel Miranda's
that's right. That's
musical about immigration.
That's right.
I think it'll be on HBO as well. Not sure though.
That's cool. Sorry, we're trying to get him on Twitter and Facebook. Let people know we're live.
Sure.
With the link.
Breakfast with Everyone's a Critic.
It sucks because it puts my picture up as the screen cap.
On the bright side, though, you get the T-shirt in there.
Well, yeah, but it's whatever I was doing when I took the picture. And it's on the top of Willem Dafoe's head, not the sausage. Do you have a classic idea to go along with In the Heights or Robin Hood or?
I will once I actually see the movie. I think I'll have a better idea.
All right, that works.
We could just make a plan for Errol Flynn's Robin Hood. That, knowing what we know about Errol Flynn, I'm not sure that's a great idea. Did you listen to that episode of The Dollop?
I did not.
Oh. Errol Flynn was messed up. Severely messed up.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I have kind of a take on, I don't know much about Errol Flynn, but like just based on some, I mean, I watched The Dark Side of the Ring last night with Jake the Snake's dad.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most messed up one they've ever done.
Yeah, I saw it.
But I have a take on that versus like the Warrens, how they
interesting. Okay.
How they never broke kayfabe. If that makes any sense. All right.
Kinda.
All right.
Did you read my review?
Yes. It was entertaining. But I had to come up with a counterpoint as opposed to at least make it a conversation instead of let's just shit on something. Not that I disagree with you. Just, where am I at here? Podcast stuff. All right, here we go.
I couldn't stop laughing during the movie. I didn't mention it in the review, but I just, the entire time after the waterbed, I just the whole time was Patton Oswalt's bit about deathbed just going through my head. I was just listening to that in my mind over and over again when I was bored during the movie.
I mean, you kept calling it a comedy. Or how they were playing for laughs, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zarrell. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. Visit us at IHateCritics.net, Everyone's a Critic podcast.com. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is Critics Pod. And if you go to our Facebook and Twitter pages, pinned to the top is a contest that we're running. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about that, Sean?
Yeah, you've got the chance to win a a movie just for giving us a 5-star review. If you go to whatever site that you do that you listen on, and you can give us a 5-star review and then tell us you did it, we'll send you a copy of either The Great War of Archimedes or another film. Both are Asian action movies, and they're pretty terrific films. Deliver Us from Evil is the other one, and you can have one of those on Blu-ray. First 9 people who get in can get a copy on Blu-ray, and we'll make that happen for you. Just give us a 5-star review, let us know you did it, and we'll get in touch, and we'll send you a Blu-ray.
Thank you. Also, we have our Patreon, patreon.com/criticspod, the best way to help support the podcast. You can listen to us, like Sean said, on any of the platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Alexa, Spotify, all of them. We also stream live on YouTube Sunday mornings, Monday nights, sometimes Sunday nights, just depends on the holiday of the day, the weekend. Sean's been letting you know on social media lately when we're going to be recording, and then I do post a link once we go live if you want to watch. Finally, we have our TeePublic page. If you go to IHateCritics.net, up in the right-hand corner, you can get yourself some Everyone's a Critic podcast merch, including the shirt I'm wearing now of Willem Dafoe with a giant sausage in front of him.
This very disturbing photo.
Yes, very hilarious.
Looks like something out of House, honestly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to
that. Pardon me, sorry.
No problem. All right, let's go ahead and get the show started. And we will start with The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is the 50th movie in the Conjuring universe, or something like that. It's directed by the same guy who did the what was that movie? I forgot the name of it. I don't care anymore.
James Wan? Or no?
No, James Wan didn't direct this. This is the director of La Llorona, I think it is. Did this one. Not the good La Llorona, the other La Llorona. The story here, picking up with one of the famous stories of Ed and Lorraine Warren about demonic possession that switches bodies into a young man named Arnie, who ends up killing his landlord during a drunken fight. Then he claimed that the devil made him do it, and the Warrens were the ones who backed up his alibi. And it's total bullshit that made national headlines, as they tended to do back in the day. I'm angry at the amount of skill that this displays, because there is a great deal of skill here in delivering the kinds of suspense and thrills that this movie does. And I do acknowledge that those are there. I do acknowledge that there are elements of this that really work. Like, I think Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, if these characters weren't named Ed and Lorraine Warren, I might admire their work here, but I can't let this go. I cannot let go of the fact that here we are burnishing the legends of a pair of con artists who lied their way into national headlines and made money off of this. They made money off of trying to cover up a murder, about trying to convince people that a demon possessed a guy, and a demon, by the way, that came to life through a waterbed. What? First of all, before we even get to that, let me try and understand how this, just the construction of this plot works. Someone was targeting the child, and the evil death cult, whatever, the devil worshiper cult, is pointing at this child. They want to get to this child for some reason, which is never established in the movie. To do this, they set up a evil totem beneath a waterbed in a house they've arguably not been inside before, but I guess they know where the waterbed is, and they happen to know that the kid, even though it's not his room, he's going to lay down on the waterbed, and then the kid gets possessed by a demon that comes through the waterbed. And then the kid is being exorcised by Ed and Lorraine, and somehow the demon jumps from the kid to his sister's boyfriend, who then goes on to commit a murder in a drunken rage, killing a guy the kids never met. Does that plot work in any way? I mean, just without Ed and Lorraine Warren, that is such a convoluted way to start a plot. And then but you bring in that element of real life that this, actually took place, that this guy actually did murder his landlord during a drunken fight. And Ed and Lorraine Warren came about to explain, no, the devil made him do it because he had a demon inside him when it happened. It is infuriating to me that they continue to make these movies that burnish this ridiculous, ludicrous legend of these two people who were just con artists who just made up bullshit, and in this case covered up an actual murder, or tried to cover up an actual murder. And we're all like, what a wonderful love story. Give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, but let's review the movie. No, I get what you're saying. I do think, they're, using the kid as a conduit to pass the demon around. It makes sense to me as a horror movie. I thought The Conjuring itself, the first one, was actually a very, very good movie. You got the same issues that you're saying. You have two con artists at the front of it, and it's all based on true stories and blah, blah, blah.
True stories.
But you know what I mean? But, this one I got confused with the first half of the Amityville story, because I always thought that was a George Del Rio or something like that. When he killed his family, I thought he tried to possess or plead devil possession, but he went for insanity. This is the one I always got confused with. I find that interesting, but when you word it the way you're wording it, it's like, yes, they're trying to cover up a murder. What I don't know, I believe that they knew they were covering up a murder and they were just trying to make money. That's my belief.
Well, also,
I have no proof of that. There's no evidence of. They've never. But also,
but what they're trying to do here is not so much cover up a murder as continue their lie. Because if they don't go along with Arnie Johnson's story, he can say, well, they just made up that whole bullshit about David being possessed to get to write a new book.
Right. But there's also no evidence of any of that being true, because they've never.
Of course there isn't.
But that's it's like pro wrestling, it's, and they covered up murders too. Let's not.
Oh, yeah.
And we still watch their shows. So it's hard to, they just never had an attitude era where they let everybody know it wasn't real. And that's what I struggle with here. And then
do you honestly think that Ed and Lorraine actually believed the bullshit they put out?
I do not. I just can't. I have no way to prove it. I know people that do believe it, and it's insane to me. But I mean, this is one of those things where it's split 50, probably 50-50. It's no different than Democrat, Republican. Everybody has their own version of the truth. Some of it's this crazy conspiracy theory bullshit off to the way, whatever direction you want to go. And some of it's like based in science and fact. And this is more, QAnon level of crap, but it's probably less.
Right, but this is packaged in a way that's going to get through to a lot more people. I mean, because Facebook can kick Donald Trump off of Facebook, and keep him from spreading lies and garbage. Here, they can't. We're packaging this in a way that allows Ed and Lorraine Warren to be, presented as these religious superheroes who wielded God like Mjolnir and smashed, devils with their superpowers, their superpowered religion. And we're just pretending that these two lying con artists are these romantic heroes. And for decades from now, when people go to search Ed and Lorraine Warren, instead of seeing these decrepit monsters who are ripping people off with their lies, they get this lovely story about people who are, 30 years younger and 50,000 times more attractive than they ever were. This wonderful love story that everybody's just falling in love with, and not the fact that they covered up a murder.
In fairness, if this movie didn't exist, you wouldn't find that either. You wouldn't find out they covered up a murder. You'd find
but they'd be lost to history in the way they deserve to be. Instead of now they're the legends in death. They're the legends they always wanted to be. In this cosmic joke, they get everything they ever wanted.
Right. and it's frustrating. I get it, but they still have been legends to certain people, just not as many. But again, they're making a Vince McMahon movie. He's on TV every week. He's covered up murder. He helped kill the guy on accident. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that it really is the same. It really isn't any different. So I don't know, but like you said, and I think part of your anger is the movie kind of works. There's nothing wrong with the movie itself.
There are elements that are wrong, like that whole bullshit about the bed is just the water bed is silly. It was just silliness. In a movie that wasn't about the Ed and Lorraine Warren, everybody be pointing out the logical fallacies that lead from what this plot through. But
it is fascinating going to look at, if you look at the true story. I mean, they didn't change the names. So the guy who went to jail for 5 years, he's still alive. His wife is dead. The family of the boy deny that the boy was ever possessed. They obviously tried to do an exorcism on him, but they disagree that he was possessed.
By the way, yes, they torture children, by the way. And it was nice in the movie to include that vocal recording of them torturing a child. That was great.
Yeah.
Really wonderful use of that to because this movie has because again, Hollywood is wrapped up in IP, and the IP now is the Warrens. The Warrens are the IP, and now they have this dedication, if you will, to protecting their IP and pretending that what these people did was real. And it reminded me again of why I hated The Greatest Showman so much, is that Barnum was a fucking monster, a racist, and just an evil human being. And his legacy now is handsome Hugh Jackman with a song in his heart. And that pisses me off. When his legacy should be con artist, racist, disgusting, awful human being. And the Warrens the same way. We're just pretending that these were good people who loved each other and just wanted to protect people from demons. Oh, give me a break.
And even with P.T. Barnum, again, if you searched him up, it's only going to be a footnote that he was a racist and a horrible person, sadly. But you're right. Again, it's the platform.
At the very least, he's forgotten. He's forgotten without this stupid movie. At least we can forget he ever existed.
Yeah. But this is more of this is closer to 50-50, if not more in their favor than ours. I think we're more the minority of people that think this is a con job. Even though I don't know how you can't. I mean, there'd be more household names like the Warrens, who I knew who they were long before you did too. If this was, I don't know.
I've hated them for decades. Yeah. I didn't need a movie to tell me I hated Ed and Lorraine Warren. I hated Ed and Lorraine Warren. I'm an old school hater of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
When I was a kid, go ahead.
I used to work overnights in radio, and Art Bell was on our talk station, and he would talk to Ed and Lorraine Warren back in the 90s. And it's like, stop platforming these people.
Yeah, no, I read the original Amityville Horror book when I was like a kid, because I knew about the movie and I wasn't allowed to watch it. I rented it from the library or checked it out from the library, read it against my parents. They wouldn't let me have it. I kind of snuck it in. I was reading it at night under the covers, and I bought into it hook, line, and sinker for a while.
Yeah. And
then you start reading more about how, well, nobody else ever had a problem in that house. The people before them, yes, there was a murder. Everybody is crazy that was in, I don't know. It's
Lorraine Warren, we're such great geniuses who could fight demons and protected people from evil. Then why didn't they ever claim James Randi's prize? James Randi put up $1 million if somebody could prove bullshit like this. And they never once stepped forward, not one time, because they couldn't prove anything that they did because they made it all up.
And it's back to that, like the QAnon level of conspiracy theory. It's just enough where you can't prove anything's not real, but you can't prove it.
It's so stupid that you can't say, like,
people hook, line, and sinker fall for it every day. And people believe in ghosts. It's just weird.
There's this guy on YouTube. He's a genius. His name is Quentin Quentin reviews his channel. He did this bit on the History Channel and Ancient Aliens, and he was talking about that awful Ancient Aliens show, and he's like, I know you guys want me to try and go through and debunk like each of these claims, but how do you debunk ideas like, the islands on the statues on Easter Islands are internet modems? Like, how do you debunk that? That's just so stupid. How do you just pointing it out debunks it?
Right. I mean, it's I lost my train of thought. I mean, it would be like saying God isn't real. You'd have to go and prove that to really disprove them. And you can't do that. So it is what it is. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you. I find the idea of demon possession as a plea interesting. Obviously, it's horrible, but it's, as history.
What is more believable, right? All right, you've got a guy who murders another guy in a drunken brawl after the guy was touching his girlfriend, or a demonically possessed waterbed possessed a child who then was exorcised, and the demon went into the guy who then went on to get in the drunken brawl and kill the guy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the side of logic on that one for some reason. I don't know. Just seems like maybe perhaps the guy just got drunk and stabbed another guy.
And it's totally possible he saw red, doesn't remember doing it. I buy into that completely.
Sure.
But to this day, he swears the devil made him do it. So. He only had to serve 5 years for it. So
isn't it weird though how anytime Ed and Lorraine Warren went and investigated something, they always found evil? Isn't that weird? And then they wrote a book about it, and then they made money from that book. So strange how it always went that way. It's as if they got paid to find where evil was.
Everywhere they went.
Everywhere they went.
All right. My wife's getting pissed. She loves them. So let's move on to Super Frenchie.
Super Frenchie is a documentary about extreme sports star Matthias Giroux. And it's about 11, 12 years of his life that they document here in only about 75 minutes, which is pretty impressive because his stunts don't really take up a lot of time. He's a base jumper and a ski jumper, and his type of extreme sport is one that's not done by very many people. He finds the highest peaks that he can climb to or take a helicopter up to on skis. He puts a parachute on his back and he skis down the hill, and then he jumps and pulls the parachute and then floats down. And it's terrifying. It really is terrifying to watch because the wind conditions are mostly what you're looking at here. That is the real terror, because once he gets off that mountain and he pulls that parachute, he's at the mercy of the wind at that point. So one bad wind throws him against that side of the mountain that you can see in this poster, mm-hmm. and he could die. And the number of people who have died doing this are pretty large. Just from the few people who do it by percentage, there's a lot of them that are dead. One of them happens to be a friend of his, Shane McConkey, who was very famous for doing this and died doing this. Death is so common in this profession, you want to call it that, that they have their own terminology for it. They call it going in the ground. And yet, as morbid as that is, he is such a positive guy, and he is so charming and so humble and interesting that I didn't take that as morbid. I took it as that's just part of what this guy does. And he's not afraid of it. He's not unafraid of it. He just kind of accepts it. Throughout the journey, we're going to watch him go from this guy who's solitarily pursuing, one big adrenaline thing after another, to a guy who falls in love and gets married and eventually is going to have a baby. And then he has the worst accident imaginable doing this. Well, not the worst accident because he doesn't die, but he has a really bad accident doing this. And it's terrifying. And we get to see that from his perspective, his GoPro camera, which is really great. The photography throughout this is spectacular, from the aerial photography on the helicopters to his GoPro. they're phenomenal. But then you have these wonderful to the camera interviews, especially with his mother, who he's not close with. She reveals herself and reveals him in such interesting ways that it's almost so matter of fact how divided they are as a family and just how apart they are as people, but yet he's so positive regardless of that. Everything he's just so positive about. We watch his son grow from a baby to a young child in this movie, because it takes place over about 11 years, and all of that is compacted into just 75 minutes, and that's really wonderful storytelling. I really like this a lot.
How is that a profession? I get the adrenaline part of it, but how do you make money doing this?
Everything he does is sponsored, so you see sponsor logos on everything that he's wearing. It's on the top of his parachute. You can't see it there, but it usually is under his parachute, so he can capture it from beneath as he's coming down. So everything that he does is sponsored. The helicopter has sponsorship on it, his skis. So that's how he makes money.
That's crazy. Looks fun. Not really, but I can see it being, especially at that runtime.
I would love to see this on a big screen. I had to watch a screener of it, but I would have loved to see it on the big screen. Even especially, it would be even better on IMAX. I imagine it would be incredible.
I'm sure. Spirit Untamed.
Spirit Untamed is a movie to babysit kids with. You just put this on in front of a girl anywhere from 3 to 9 years old and leave the room. You could go do other things. Spirit Untamed is essentially a sequel to Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, which came out in 2002, but not really. That film was about the spirit, the horse, voiced by Matt Damon, who it was a stallion that got loose and led a group of other stallions. This one, he's still the leader, but he doesn't talk this time. There's no Matt Damon. It's just him and this little girl bond and become friends, and then she has to help him rescue his stallion family that gets taken by a group of wranglers played by what's his name, Walton Goggins plays the big bad guy. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The character design's competent. The animation is colorful. There's nothing special about it. If I would have probably hated this in the theater, but watching it on a screener as I did, I just kind of was playing Uno on my phone while I watched this, because it's really not particularly engaging for adults, but it's the kind of movie that's just inoffensive, and 82 minutes, you can leave the kids in front of it and forget about it, and they're not going to be harmed in any way. And
they're not going to be bored and walk away from it, though.
I mean, little girls who love horses, probably will just be fascinated with it.
Well, that's good.
Your daughter's probably grown out of this.
Yeah, for sure.
But 7-8 years ago, your daughter would probably be fascinated with this movie.
All right. George Romero's The Amusement Park, coming soon.
Actually, yeah, we're going to talk about this one next week.
If you don't want to do it this week.
So I would like you to be able to see this and to give a fair perspective on it.
It's a long lost Romero movie. It's an educational film, from what I understood. He got paid to make it.
Yeah, and it's not even feature length. It's only 52 minutes long.
It's supposed to be about how young people treat the elderly.
Yeah, I want you to see that one before we talk about it.
All right, we'll talk about that one next week. Deadly Illusions on Netflix.
The best movie of the week.
This movie sucks. I mean, I read your review of this one too, and I'm like, really? I don't even find the fun in it.
Really? I was laughing a lot during this movie. I thought it was hysterical, entirely unintentionally, but yeah, I was laughing a lot during this movie. Deadly Illusions is about an author who becomes too obsessed with her own writing. She writes novels about murders, and she becomes obsessed with her new babysitter, played by Greer Grammer, who is a kind of a con artist who kind of snuck her way into being the babysitter. And horrible things happen. Things get revealed. There's a whole lesbian thing going on, which is weird. Kristen Davis she's a straight married woman, but she becomes kind of attracted to Greer Grammer's character in a way that the movie is very weird about. and creepy about for sure. Cringy, hardcore cringe all throughout this movie. This is so terrible. It's such a bad movie, but I found it to be very, very funny. And I could imagine watching this with a good group of people and just riffing on this thing the whole time and just really enjoying it from that perspective. Watching it alone, I was more cringing and just kind of like, I wish somebody could be here to laugh at this with me. But as it is, I don't recommend it. It's not a good movie, but
Right.
but I laughed a lot during this movie. So on that, in that way, I kind of recommend it.
I mean, it's just one of those movies that comes around every year where you just get a bunch of TV stars and throw them in a movie. And I mean, there's just so many movies you could do that with that I'd rather do that with than this. I guess is more. And I watched it alone too, or I guess my wife was there, but it's just like I was expecting like the cringe to be more than just the acting. I mean, there is more, I guess, but the acting is right. But the acting
is pretty cringe.
I agree, but the acting it starts there, and it's so bad.
Could Dermot Mulroney be more bored and disengaged in a role? I thought like he's been bad for a long time, but this is like he's really bad at this.
Well, usually these movies with the TV stars that go and make a movie together, they're active TV stars. Is Kristen Davis and are they in active shows right now? I don't know.
I don't honestly. I think she's starting up Sex in the City again. I don't know.
Right.
I wish they wouldn't. But hey, I don't have to watch it, so why do I care? As long as they don't make another movie. Good God.
But yeah, it's on Netflix if you want to.
I've never seen Greer Grammar before, and this is not a very good promotion for her performance.
Luckily, no one will ever hear about this again. So she's fine. All right, let's move on.
All right. House is our classic this week. Directed and created by Nobuhiko Obayashi. This is an experimental horror film that has a strange origin story. This was inspired by Jaws, weirdly enough. The Toho company in Japan watched Jaws become a worldwide phenomenon. They were like, we want to ruin Jaws. What can we do? So they turned to this guy Obayashi to come up with their version of Jaws, and this is what he came up with. And there are some touches in there, weirdly enough, like the main villain does eat people, and the house at one point, which is completely landlocked, becomes flooded with water, and the characters end up floating on various pieces, not unlike the characters at the end of Jaws who are floating on what's left of their boat. So there are elements of it there, like he really did honor something of what Toho had wanted, but overall he's just really just playing around with the visual elements and creating this transgressive art horror movie that is about 7 Japanese schoolgirls who travel to one of their aunt's houses in the woods on this mountain, and they're going to spend a week or so there for their summer vacation, and they end up getting picked off one by one by this evil being. This is a great movie. I really loved this. This is so much better than every other typical horror movie. Like I'm writing about this, and I'll have a written review up as well after the show, because I was comparing it a little bit to the Conjuring and how I prefer something like this. This reminded me so wonderfully of like Night of the Virgin, or even elements of Midsummer in some ways, just in how different and unique and strange his vision is, because it's this outsized sort of comic visual elements crossed with some genuinely scary and gripping images, haunting images that he creates. So you've got like each of the characters are named for just a trait that they have. Like one is named Gorgeous, and one is named Fantasy because she often is a dreamer. One's named Big Mac, because she likes to eat. One's named Melody because she likes music. And these are done in a way that would be a kind of it's a shorthand essentially, so he doesn't have to write actual characters, and it's also a shorthand in storytelling because each of them is going to be killed in a way that is reminiscent to their name. So when Gorgeous essentially seems to die or is taken over by the big bad, she dies while putting on makeup. You've got Mac dying retrieving food. You've got Melody dying in the most memorable way by being eaten by a piano. Like these are elements of their name, and their death are meant to create a tension to between their name and how they die, and that's established early on and carries out throughout the movie. And that's really it's shorthand, but it's kind of brilliant in its way, just the way he does it. It could be lazy in the hands of a bad director, but in the hands of a very artful and smart and brilliant director, it's wonderful shorthand, because he doesn't care about telling you about these characters or creating characters. He's doing this all to create these compelling, fascinating visuals. On top of that, there is a deeper meaning to the movie, because he made this movie in 1977 as a way of talking about a generation of Japanese young people who had grown up completely in peace, who were not aware of what had happened before they were born. They were the first generation to reach older teenage years, not having thought about what happened in World War II. And so they're kind of growing they didn't grow up with that pain. And this generation that Obayashi was in did. He grew up right outside of one of the places where Nagasaki, I think it was, where one of the bombs was dropped, and he lost people in that. People he knew died in that bombing. And so when he creates the character of Auntie as this woman who lost her fiance in the war, she has all of the pain of World War II inside her, and that carries her forward to destroy this generation of young people and make them feel the pain that she felt at that time, to remind them of the horrors that she experienced in her life. And so that's the underlying point. It's buried deep within, but it's there. And I just adore that. I just adore everything about this movie. The comic visuals combined with the horror. You've got this head that's pulled out of a well, and it's just got this eerie, big smile on its face, and then it bites a girl on the butt. It's funny, but at the same time, it reminded me like of Evil Dead, like in just the inventive sort of nature of that moment. It was very much Evil Dead, and you can sense a lot of Sam Raimi, where he got a lot of his ideas for Evil Dead from this movie.
Yeah, they should remake this as like about 9/11 or whatever, or use that as the our kids, our generation, not ours, but the
right
20-somethings are just starting to, or the late teens would be right there.
Yeah, the first generation that have grown up after 9/11. Absolutely.
The only thing I agree with everything you're saying. I guess the only thing that holds me back on it is I think this is less timeless than a lot of other movies, even like Evil Dead, for whatever reason. I feel like when the visual is such an important thing, and then time passes you by, some of the things, and I guess each of the killers suffered from it a little bit to an extent, although he kind of made it more comic booky, so it kind of worked. And he did, not that they don't here too, it's just even older. Like, I feel like this came out in the 90s. It would definitely, would be timeless. Some of the visuals are so outdated that it affects the timeless nature of it to me. But everything else, I agree with you 100%. I'm fascinated by the idea. I love the originality. I hesitate to put it on my list of like my favorite movies like this, along with like Mandy and The Midsummer and even the Evil Deads, because of that factor, which is, I don't know why, and maybe it's just because I haven't been watching it for 20 some years like I have in Evil Dead. But it definitely is. It's original, and I appreciate it, and I enjoyed watching it. But I definitely couldn't show it to anybody other than you that would sit and watch it and be like, "This is pretty fascinating." Like, I don't think Josh would like it. I don't think my brother would like it. I'm trying to think of other movie buffs that would get into it. And
it's a very particular kind of movie, and it's a very particular and peculiar audience that is going to enjoy this movie, and I'm happy to be part of that very peculiar audience.
Yeah.
This is a wonderfully, unapologetically perverse movie that is weird and fascinating and brilliant in ways that aren't easy to describe.
And then some of it too is, like a movie like Suspiria, sometimes you would just be like, I'd take that frame and I'd put that, I'd frame that frame and put it on my wall. I wouldn't necessarily do that here with any of the visuals, but they're close. And I don't know if it's just that it's personal taste or that the technology is advanced, enough that some of it kind of looks silly. And that's like my one small, and I'm just trying to come up with an idea.
I think I would this here. I think I would the image we're looking at here. Picture, I would put on the wall. Absolutely, that's awesome. And there's another one where I think it's Prof's death, where she dies in the water and she gets pulled apart somehow in a way that the kind of bizarre. And I would absolutely take that image of her head. Amongst a whole bunch of other, I would put that on my wall. There's a couple other ones.
I guess I would say it's about 50-50 if you watch the movie, there's 50% of the time I think it looks really cool, then the other 50 I'm like, oh, I mean, as much as I love the piano stuff, like watching the keys, it just kind of looked cheap and like they didn't have money for, which is, again, I'm okay with that. It's not a fair criticism of the movie, but like Sam Raimi 5 years later would have probably, I don't know. It just, that's kind of the one thing that holds me back from like holding it up as, on the same level as like Mandy or Midsummer or any of these Suspiria or any of these other movies. But it is, I'm glad we watched it because this is what I prefer over things like The Conjuring because it's wholly original. And that's the number one. Again, you started it, so I had to come up with some sort of counterbalance to the conversation. But I largely agree with you, like 99% of it, I'm with you on.
Yeah, this is an all-time classic for me. I want to get the Criterion collection, the Blu-ray or DVD of it, whatever it is, I'll take it. I adore this movie.
It is an awesome poster, though. All right, 1991. We've had 3 movies come out. I've seen all of them. Let's start with Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
I don't get it.
The movie that made Christina Applegate a movie star, not a TV star.
Oh, did it?
It was the first one, wasn't it? Or the one, not her first, but I mean, one where
was this a hit though?
I think so.
Everybody
my age liked it or saw it, except for me. I saw it later on.
I don't get the appeal of this movie. It's a movie. It feels like a movie. It is a movie. There's nothing particularly special about it. The Keith Coogan character is just this joke of a character, just this parody send up. The last person I would cast as a headbanger is Keith Coogan. Like he's just he's the least believable heavy metal guy in movie history.
Yeah, well, even in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, when they bring him back to give his famous line from this movie, he's just an old fat guy with no hair. Like it doesn't work. But he goes, the dishes are done or whatever. I don't know. There was a certain, I mean, maybe, I don't know, because there's a couple years between us, not much, but I know I don't particularly like it, but I know people that do. It's kind of picked up its own cult following. Yeah,
that's what I don't get. I don't get what people find memorable or appealing about this movie. That is, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand what's so good about this. It's not particularly funny. It's not particularly inventive. It's not even particularly dark, despite the body at the center of the movie.
Right. And quite frankly, I'll take Adventures in Babysitting any day of the week to this one.
Yeah, it's a much better, more deserving cult movie. The supporting children aren't particularly interesting. Like I couldn't name one of those people. And Christina Applegate is just okay in this movie. She doesn't feel like a big movie star to me.
No, but she did go on to not be lost to Married with Children.
Yeah.
And I think this might have played a role in that. I do know when we showed the kids, they were in and out of the room, and I think when we showed the kids, my wife was showing me as well. City Slickers.
City Slickers. This was better than I expected it to be. Like, it holds up a little bit better.
It's weird that this is the one that's forgotten over. Like, I think if you're gonna ask most people, they talk about "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead." This is definitely better.
Because this isn't particularly relatable beyond, white guys in their 40s.
A lot of money to go on like weird vacations.
Yeah, I mean, this is not particularly in that way. This is definitely has a very specific audience of white guys in their 40s.
It's true.
This story is very simple. Billy Crystal is a guy who just hates his life and hates the world and just always talks about death, which is the part of this movie that doesn't hold up very well. Like, I really just wanted them to get on the horses very quickly. And it takes a long time to set this whole thing up about why he hates life. It doesn't help that he's a radio sales guy, so his job doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He sells radio, but when his boss talks to him about he plays he's buying it. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He doesn't buy the commercials. He sells the airtime. And you don't tell your client. You can tell your client, yeah, your commercial's shitty, but if they want to air it, they're gonna air it, and they're gonna pay you to air it, and that's all that matters. That was a really dumb scene. And I'm sorry, that's very specific to me, but it was still a very bad scene.
It would have made more sense if they said something along the lines of, "You keep playing this dumb song, people turn the station." Everybody turns the station at the ads. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. When they're in their car, at least. Yeah, it was. I did not understand that scene at all, and that makes sense because it doesn't make any sense.
It's I just wanted him to get to the Western stuff, and once I get there, it's not that bad. Like, these characters are they do demonstrate a little bit of depth and humor, and the camaraderie between Bruno Kirby and Daniel Stern and Billy Crystal is entertaining. And then you've got, I don't understand why people love the Jack Palance performance, why that's an Oscar-worthy performance. That baffles me because it's not that great. He doesn't do a lot.
It's just him doing Clint Eastwood, or trying to.
Kind of, yeah. There's just not a lot of depth there, which kind of baffles me as to why they thought that was a good idea to give him an Oscar for that. Doesn't really do anything. His death isn't even particularly interesting.
No.
But I like a lot of this movie. Some of the elements don't hold up. Like, Helen Slater's character is kind of baffling why she's even there. They don't hardly use her other than as the prize that Daniel Stern gets at the end of the movie. But the bit with Norman, the little calf, that was cute, and it's an adorable little cow. And I liked what how Billy Crystal's character came alive with that experience. I thought that was good. And elements of this movie, Billy Crystal's really a really good actor at times, and he can really he really pulls it off. Those bigger dramatic moments of the movie are actually work sometimes even better than the comedic ones, because he has built up this notion of a guy who really needs this experience to expand himself as a person or to find his life again. I think where it doesn't hold up is that I don't know if a midlife crisis is as acceptable in this day and age that it was as it was then. Like, back then, men were allowed for some reason to have these midlife crises and to be big assholes about it. I don't think that's allowed anymore. For me, I don't think I'm allowed a midlife crisis. I think I feel like, as many things about me that are immature, I'm far too mature to start now worrying about who I am as a person and going off and doing stupid shit to try and figure out who I am. I think it was acceptable then to go and find your smile, and now it's like, just why don't you have a smile, idiot?
But I think we never really had. I don't know if our generation ever had to let go of the immaturity. If that plays a role too, that stuck with us the whole time. They never got cut off. Like, I don't relate to the whole infidelity back story part. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Billy Crystal has, like, they try to keep this tension of will he, won't he cheat on his wife kind of thing, and I like that. I wish they would just thrown that out altogether, because I never bought into it, and even if I did, then what he did, it might as well have been cheating on his wife because he's emotionally cheating on it. I mean, and the whole thing is stupid. So I thought that was a little weak.
Yeah, I mean, I think Crystal battled back against that well enough to kind of diffuses that by telling Bruno Kirby how silly it is, and the only thing that doesn't work is Kirby continuously insisting upon it. But
he does make a couple looks where it's just like, oh my god, and that look was, it was for comedic purposes, but I don't know if it's either the times have changed or because I can't imagine every guy in their 40s was looking to get away from his wife in the 90s. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I was just a kid.
No, I think, but Crystal, again, I thought his explanation of it was fair.
Oh no, I agree.
You're still going to look at attractive women and find them attractive. That's just not. It's not in anyone's nature to not find something attractive that is objectively attractive.
No, I get that. It was more of the comedic, the kind of the oh my god, when every time you look at something that's attractive, you don't make that face. And I know it's for the movie.
Right.
But it is what it is. But again, I like you said, once they started, ranching or whatever it was, whatever they were doing with the cows. Once they got to that, it was entertaining and pretty good.
It's a little over long. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of fat on this movie that could be cut. But generally speaking, it holds up better than a lot of other 90 movies.
Right. And it's lucky because the fat's more at the beginning. So by the time you finish it, you kind of forget about the fat until you start talking about it on a podcast later on. And then a movie I haven't seen in a long time, but I really wanted to see probably more than any of the other two movies, and you can't. It's Jungle Fever.
Yeah, I would love to know why you can't watch this movie anymore. It's so weird. This is about a movie about a white guy falling in love with a white woman falling in love with a black man, and the inherent nature of that, and how society treated that at the time, and in some ways still does. That's a fascinating idea, and I would love to watch this movie and to see how well that idea translates to today. I don't know what's going on with why this isn't available.
Yeah.
I would love, that sounds like it'd be a good story if I knew what it was. But I mean, I even just looking it up, trying to find out why, it's probably music rights.
Oh, that could be. I found a zoomed in version on YouTube where you couldn't see the whole screen. Like, it wasn't even full screen. It was like a quarter of the screen. I was like, I'm not going to sit through this. Because that's not fair to the movie.
Yeah. Send me a link, though. I might. I'm just kidding.
Like, you couldn't even see, like, when, I don't remember who made it, but whatever, when the logo popped up at the beginning, it was like only like 3 letters of the whole name. It was pretty bad.
That's terrible.
All right, but that is our show. Stop the screen share for now. Next week, we've got In the Heights, Peter Rabbit 2, I'm assuming.
I'm not going to watch that, but yeah.
You're not? All right, I'll see. If my kids make me watch it, I'll let you know.
All right.
Netflix has 2 movies, one called Skater Girl, one called Awake. At least I think they're movies. I don't know if we'll watch those or not. We'll see how dead the week is.
Yeah, I might bring Loki to the show if that's the case. If we don't have a lot.
That's fine.
The amusement park.
Oh yeah, the amusement park. We're going to talk about that, so I'll make sure to.
I've already got a review of the amusement park up, but I do want to get your take on it.
Yeah. And then in 1991, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves came out. I'm wondering how that's going to hold up. I think it will for me because I did watch it so much, but we'll see. Also, HBO had a movie called Without Warning, the James Brady story. I don't know if I'm going to watch that or if we'll watch that at all, but that also came out 30 years ago. Like I said, we don't have a classic yet, but once we do, we'll let you know. And before I move to Flick Chart, Head over to patreon.com/criticspods. The best way to help support the podcast. Our key public page at ihatecritics.net. Get yourself this Willem Dafoe shirt or sticker or notebook or pillow, whatever you want. And then our social media contest or review contest up on our social media links, Facebook and Twitter specifically. Go ahead, Sean, tell them about that again.
Yeah, just give us a 5-star review anywhere you can give a review to the show, and it helps us out a lot. But also, if you do that and let us know and get us your contact info, we will send you a copy of a Blu-ray movie about one of two of them. There's the sinking of the Archimedes, which is the largest ship ever in war history, and Deliver Us from Evil, a pair of Asian movies that are really interesting, and you can own one on Blu-ray for free if you just give us a 5-star review.
And send us an email at critics@ihatecritics.net, or go to our social media page and let us know. Comment underneath, those pictures. Let us know you gave the review. All right, let's move on to Flick Chart, and we've got Avengers Endgame or Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo.
I agree. Eye of the Needle.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. All right. It's not a movie. It is, but The Negotiator or Elysium.
The Negotiator has been a guilty pleasure of mine for years, but it's even guiltier now for some reason. Can't imagine what that reason could be. Elysium.
Is that the one from the guy who did District 9?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Neil Blomkamp, yeah.
I remember liking it, and then you and Josh explained why it wasn't good, and I was like, Michael Titan AE.
I've not seen Titan AE, I don't think. Maybe
Michael Electra.
Which is less shitty? Michael. Slightly less shitty.
Scream 2, White Chicks.
Scream 2.
The Little Rascals, American Graffiti.
American Graffiti.
Django the Bastard. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I've seen a Django movie besides Untamed, but I don't know which one. Empire of the Sun, the Thomas Crown Affair.
What is with crappy movies today?
Won an Oscar here?
I mean, but Empire of the Sun is just homework to sit through.
Yeah. And I don't mind. Thomas Crown Affair is kind of fun. It's terrible.
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Superbad.
Superbad.
Alien vs. Predator, Life of Pi.
Life of Pi.
Dirty Harry, the Bellboy.
Never heard of the Bellboy. I guess I've heard of it. I just never seen it.
Right. Dirty Harry, Reign of Fire.
Reign of Fire. I hate Dirty Harry.
Freddy versus Jason, Big Daddy.
Freddy versus Jason.
Well, I don't mind Big Daddy as much as you. The Princess and the Frog, Adventureland.
Adventureland.
Days of Thunder, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Days of Thunder is funnier.
Super 8, American History X.
Super 8.
Yeah, American History X sucks how that doesn't hold up. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, How to Train Your Dragon.
I'll get hate for this, but give me Spider-Man over Dragon.
Do not like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Toy Story 3, Pocahontas.
Toy Story 3.
Yes.
Pocahontas is the Conjuring movie of American history.
Secret Window, Ronin.
Secret Window.
Yeah. Can't hardly wait, Meet the Fockers.
I don't know how I feel about Meet the Fockers. I don't remember. I kind of don't. I kind of tolerate Can't Hardly Wait. So that one.
Meet the Fockers. Let's see. behind the computer. And Jesus, can't hardly wait. Can't hardly wait. Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason.
Bridget Jones.
Black Panther, The Fast and the Furious.
Black Panther. I love that Fast and the Furious though.
This is fun. The Devil's Rejects, 48 Hours.
It's not that hard for me, honestly. 48 hours, even though I don't like it.
Where to God I won this time, I'm not just lying. Killing Them Softly, Twilight, New Moon.
Which one's shorter? Killing Them Softly.
Twilight's shorter. I think Twilight's over before Brad Pitt even pops in the movie. But I'm gonna go with this. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Billy Elliot.
Guardians.
Yeah. Road to Perdition, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
The Rundown, Battle Royale.
I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has gotten better in my mind. I like it even more now, somehow.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I feel that way about Hateful Eight, too. Like, both of them seem to just keep getting better. I mean, I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood from the get-go, but I remember Hateful Eight, we kind of left, like, it was fine. It was good for, good movie, not great Tarantino, but the more I sit on that one, the more I like it. You see Battle Royale?
Yeah. Rundown's not bad, though.
No. Babel.
I'm not sure what Revenge is.
Babel, Point Break.
Babel.
Mr. Popper's Penguins, Live Free or Die Hard.
Live Free or Die Hard.
Yeah, if there'd be any Die Hard after that one,
oh,
then they turn into like Bruce Willis straight to video movies. Saw 4, Hatchet 2.
Saw 4.
Chicken Little, Cape Fear.
Cape Fear. By the way, I talked to the director of Saw 4, Darren Lynn Boozman, for my other podcast, and I'll share a link to that on the. I did share a link to that actually on our Facebook. If you want to check that out.
Awesome. Armageddon, It Takes Two.
It Takes Two. Because fuck Armageddon's so hard. I would rather watch the Olsen twins. I would rather watch the Olsen twins.
I don't understand. I understand that it's a bad movie, but I don't understand such a throwaway movie. It might as well be.
I would rather watch the direct to the store shows that the Olsen twins did as little baby detectives than watch Armageddon.
See, I hold Armageddon on the same level as Backdraft. I don't get. It's stupid. Don't get me wrong, but
it's insulting, is what it is.
What, you don't think you get on a meteor and put a bomb on it and blow it up? Scream 2 or Brick?
Brick.
Yeah. Revenge of the Nerds, Zack and Mary make up that now.
Zack and Mary.
Yes. Police Academy, The Virgin Suicides.
Virgin Suicides.
Read Eye of the Beholder, Anchorman.
Anchorman.
Shutter Island, Some Like It Hot.
Some Like It Hot.
Yeah. Stigmata, Dr. Dolittle.
Stigmata.
A View to Kill, Rear Window.
Rear Window.
Due Date, The Mexican.
They're both trash. I think The Mexican's actually shorter, so I'll get that one.
Probably is.
Due Date feels like it's 3 years long.
Yeah, but it's entertaining enough in the background while I'm doing something else. I'll go Due Date. Jesus Christ. Apparently I only win 20 flips when I really care about the answer. Richie Rich, Minority Report.
Minority Report.
Natural Born Killers, Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Bill and Ted. I really hate Natural Born Killers.
I don't really have an opinion, so I'm going to flip it. See if you have to flip again. All right, I want to go Natural Born Killers, so now I'm going to flip it because that's my choice. Natural Born Killers, heads twice. Apparently, it doesn't matter if I don't care. The Rock, the big hit.
I don't think I've seen The Big Hit.
The Rock, Liar, Liar.
Liar, Liar.
I'm gonna say if you pick The Rock and hate Armageddon, I'm like they're like the same. I mean, I'm so confused.
The Rock is funny. The Rock's funny though.
You didn't think it was funny when Liv Tyler was crying at the end of Armageddon?
Not even a little. No,
When
I was so mad. I just didn't care.
Sex in the City, Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream. I'd watch that movie 3 times before I ever watched Sex in the City.
Movie you need to see one time. It's so hard to watch. You'd watch 3 times.
It'd be less torturous, less painful than the Sex in the City movie.
When I was getting my IVs last week, or when I know they're doing blood, taking my blood like every 2 hours, and I just kept watching I now never got as bad as fucking Virgin. But you just watch it get purple and black, and just keep going into the same hole over and over again. I think everybody's ever had that done. It's the same thing. Runaway Jury, City of God.
City of God. That movie's incredible.
Time Bandits, A View to Kill.
Time Bandits.
Heat, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2003.
Heat.
Yes. Maybe 2.
The movie against Heat had to insult one of the greatest movies of all time in order for me to make Heat.
Evil Dead 2, Scary Movie 2.
Evil Dead 2.
Spanglish,
Traffic. Although I do like Spanglish.
Dirty Harry, The Bridge on the River Kwai.
Bridge on the River Kwai.
Clueless, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990.
This didn't used to be hard. This would be very easy to pick Clueless, but I really like TMNT. I'm picking Clueless, but I still have a large appreciation for the experience of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's kind of impressive how Clueless is kind of around. X-Men Apocalypse,
Dune. As a curiosity, it's better than X-Men Apocalypse.
About a Boy Alive.
About a Boy.
In the Line of Fire, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
The Two Towers.
I'm kind of bothered by my more and more I hate things for every year. He's made some great movies. Wonder Woman 2017, I Robot.
Wonder Woman.
8mm, Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents.
The Core, Ready Player
One. I think The Core is shorter, so let's go with that one.
Core, Ready Player One, but I'm not particularly motivated. You win. Three Kings, Cocktail.
Three Kings.
Gone Baby Gone, Speed.
Gone Baby Gone.
I agree, but I'd watch Speed first. Strangers on a Train, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Strangers on a Train.
Beverly Hills Cop 2, Nixon.
Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Yeah. Fifth Element, Riley Bragg.
Fifth Element.
Cruel Intentions, Reign of Fire.
Cruel Intentions. Ah, there it is.
Van Wilder, freshman year, House.
House.
Absolutely. Sadly, I probably wish I could write Gilbert Van Wilder. Not because I'm right. Just I have a unfair love for that movie. I don't know why. The Bourne Legacy, Liar Liar.
The Void Legacy. That's the one with
That's Renner.
Jeremy Renner. I'll take Liar Liar.
I agree. House of Wax, old school.
Old school.
It's funny.
Reluctantly.
Like old school, we didn't like going back, but every time it's popped up, it's come up with a shitty movie.
Yeah.
X-Men 2, I don't know what that movie is.
No, it's some movie I've never heard of.
X-Men 2, White Noise.
X2, I guess. White Noise is pretty bad.
No, X2 is the best like action movies other than Logan. A Training Day, Swimming Pool.
Swimming Pool. Actually, a really good movie.
Dune, Taken. This is like my hell. This Dune's boring as hell, and I'm not looking forward to going back to it later this year. I'm looking forward to watching the documentary, but
yeah,
I could take Liam Neeson, so I don't.
I'll take Taken.
It's fine. Probably a good spot to end it. I feel like Shark's not being entertaining anymore. All right. Let me know when you have a classic idea. If I have any, I'll throw them your way.
All right. Sounds good.
We can go from there. All right. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.